And now, hello. Okay, good morning. Jesus, this is not ideal. They're dealing with some software issues somewhere in the studio. Ben is here though.
Soft and hard issues, I would go with.
I often joke that like stupid people, which we have a major problem with in this country, there are a lot of stupid people who are damaged hardware people, and then you get people who haven't uploaded enough software.
Yeah.
I'm at the moment trying to decide what the producers are on the show, but there we go. Good Friday morning. I hope you're ready to start your day, and I hope you are in a good mood and feeling happy, because it is the weekend and we are in summer, and there are plenty of reasons to smile and plenty of reasons to laugh. Ben has also got some sport for us this morning.
Good weekend ahead.
And yeah, lots to talk about. So I don't know if you've been paying attention. If you haven't, but in America, there's an election coming.
Yay.
It does affect everybody, as I
course
spoke
it does,
about
yeah.
the other day. So, I mean, people are, either you're into it or you're not, and that's absolutely fine. Some people can give a shit about it. But I do think it's tremendous entertainment, if nothing else. I mean, this week, probably the best troll oh God, I don't think I've ever seen trolling in politics at the level that Donald Trump is perpetuating it now. It's just fucking amazing. He's got this, I don't know, you must have seen the videos or the clips so far, or the pictures of him in the garbage man outfit. So what happened was, senile, crazy old Joe Biden. I don't know why, but someone asked him something. I mean, I thought he was pushed out into the nursing home already.
Yeah, me too.
But he's clearly still there to do more damage.
Right.
If you need him. And Donald Trump was out at his rally in Madison Square Garden. He had a comedian there who made a joke about Puerto Rico being a floating island of garbage, which is hilarious because Puerto Rico is a bit rubbishy. And I can say that because I don't give a shit about Puerto Rican votes. Anyway, people laughed, but the left-wing media went crazy. They're like, oh, how could you say that about Puerto Rico? You must be racist and all this sort of shit.
Well, they've always been completely humorless, so yeah.
Correct. And Donald Trump then kind of disassociated himself from that, said, this is not something I'm involved with. It's a comedian. I don't tell him what jokes to tell. It's a comedian. What do you expect? What do you want me to say? And Joe Biden then went unprovoked onto camera and said, well, I think it's disgusting and reprehensible, and I come from Delaware, and started talking shit, and then he eventually ended up going like, and Puerto Rico's not garbage. Donald Trump supporters are garbage, or something to that effect.
Which is mean.
It's terrible. I mean, that's so mean. What a horrible joke for that asshole to make, right? Anyway, so Trump ups the ante. He gets dressed in a garbage man's reflector jacket. His team hires a garbage truck, and he does a press conference from the garbage truck, which is just amazing. I mean, I absolutely love it. It's the greatest troll.
There was something so beautiful about his self-tanned face, that high-vis safety jackets,
and the white eye makeup.
So I started this process about 2 months ago, because, I mean, I'm a natural conservative because I've got a brain. But I didn't want to take a side in this election. I just wanted to see how things play out. And I can't help it. I'm on social media a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts. And I just think that it's such a weird election, and that it's polarizing in many ways. But what has the other side with Kamala actually given hope for? Other than the fact that we're telling you how bad that guy is, and if you're with us, you don't get the bad guy. It's just not even an argument. It's not.
It isn't, but also you pointed out just now, what really drives me crazy about these guys is they selectively choose what they think we should be able to laugh at and what we shouldn't.
At the worst,
and
yeah.
inherently, they have no sense of humor.
No.
Like, can you imagine Kamala Harris telling a joke? I don't think she has a single time. I don't think she's capable of self-deprecating humor. I mean, the funniest thing is that Trump goes up on stage at a rally somewhere in Green Bay, like Wisconsin, and he's wearing the reflector jacket, and he says, let me tell you the story of why I'm wearing this jacket. And he talks about how the team said to him, wear this jacket, and he was like, I prefer my suit jacket. And they said to him, oh, you look so thin. And then he loved it. He's like, oh, well, then I'm going to wear it all the time. And he has been. He's been wearing it nonstop ever since. But what he's saying when he says that is like, he's a bit fat and he's a bit old. He talked about getting up on the first step of the garbage truck and how it's up here, and he went, shit, I'm not going to make it. But luckily, he goes, of course, I had a bit of adrenaline, and I got up there, and I was very, very relieved. And he says, if I don't do it, if I'm slow, if I don't get it right, the step is here. He goes, they're going to call me cognitively impaired or something. He's just got a sense of humor. And that Kamala, I don't think she's capable of making anyone laugh. I don't think she's ever made anyone laugh. Look at her husband. He's the most miserable man you've ever seen.
I just want a sign of intelligence, and the best way, and it's not just the company I keep, but if you have a sense of humor, if you have the ability to formulate a joke, it means you have an understanding of your subject matter around you, you've got good social awareness, and you've got confidence to give a point about something. I've never seen any of that from that side. And then people will go, oh, Joe Rogan's just glazing Trump and now Vance. Joe said...
Oh, yeah. So Joe Rogan had J.D. Vance on his show, and apparently that's even better than the Trump one. I don't know. I haven't listened to that one. I told you about what I thought of the Trump one when we spoke about this, I think, on Wednesday or on Monday or whatever. But, I mean, if you accuse Joe Rogan of now doing campaigning for these guys, when he is one of many Americans... like my friend Eric Weinstein, who just will not commit to anyone, right? Yeah. He's trying to toe the middle line. I mean, Joe Rogan, Trump again, joked with him and said, hey, you really should endorse me.
Yeah.
It would be a good idea to endorse me. And Rogan's like, nah, I'm not going to do it. I'd rather sit on the fence.
Exactly. So then he's offered that same opportunity to be one of the most heard interviews in the world to Kamala and Tampon Tim. And have they been on?
Tampon Tim is the greatest nickname.
But like, what else is there to say about him? Do you want to call him Lying Tim? Commie Tim?
Tampon Tim.
Tampon Tim's probably one of his best.
It's so great. Hanging Out with Jay says, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the goddamn pets. Oh, man. I do like this comment from Congo Chris, who's usually very good in the morning, says, despite all of Kamala's flaws, there is one reason that she shouldn't be president. She's a woman, and we're living in a world of escalating Islamic extremism. Now, that's true.
That's pretty astute.
Yeah, I've got to say, there was a story published yesterday on Instagram, and I retweeted it or reshared it. What do you even say about that for Instagram? Anyway, it says, the Taliban bans women from hearing other women's voices. And it's got a whole bunch of women in burqas. And I said, and yet, not a word from the third wave feminists of the first world, you know?
Yeah. Tricky one, because you cannot be anti-Islamic, but yet women's rights are always so secondary. It's like on the back burner for so many people.
Even to
it's
women.
So pathetic.
Even
it's
to
so
women.
Pathetic.
Women are like, if we're going to get called racist, then beat the women.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That is.
It's like they talk about, what is it, intersectional stuff. But if there's an intersection where the victim is higher up on the victim hierarchy than you are,
yes,
well then fuck you.
That victim hierarchy is hugely important. I mean,
massive.
I'm surprised Kamala hasn't come out with that and said, look, we've created the victim hierarchy so you know where you stand and you know what to be behind.
Right. And you know what's coming.
But it's, look, a friend of mine said to me the other day, and I totally agree with him, is that if you're a decent enough human being and you can't actually say, I support Trump, and because another thing we must remember is that the South Park episode around the elections is still the gold standard of how you approach an election.
Right.
You've got a turd sandwich and a douche. You're never going to have your dad or your perfect role model or whatever. You've got two candidates, and you must be an adult about who you back between those two. You don't go, oh, but this guy's this. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger put out the longest, most drippy...
I mean, I read the first 3 paragraphs and I'd had enough.
I just want to say I can't support Trump, but I do like Kamala, and I want to vote for Kamala, but I don't want to be partisan.
You're like...
Drippy queef.
But honestly, I mean, like, who's waiting for a celebrity endorsement? I joked with this with Joe Mann on Wednesday. No one on earth is sitting there waiting for a newspaper to endorse someone. No one on earth is waiting for Barbara Streisand, or who was the one that they trotted out the other day? Big Mike. And no one wants to know. No one cares about these celebrities. Robert De Niro, like, we need him. He pretends for a living. Are we going to worry about these people that live in an ivory tower? They've never had any I mean, they don't even do their own shopping. They don't know what the cost of anything is. We're going to take these people and input their thoughts into who we vote for in any country, anywhere. It's like when, if Mafiki Zolo tell us they're going to vote ANC, I'm like, well, that changes everything,
But then there's the other way of looking at it. Like, this is just a reality TV show. And just like people engage online about reality TV shows, oh my gosh, they're bringing this person back or this person. This is all this thing is. And it's news cycles and it's a frenzy. And it grabs our attention every 4 years.
So here's Biden. Just by the way, this guy, Jesus. I mean, they're very lucky they got rid of him, but I think they've kind of got an even worse proposition now. Because if Kamala doesn't win, first of all, here's my prediction: you will never see her again. She will be thrown into that garbage truck of Donald Trump's, and you will never see her again. She'll be memory hold faster than anything you've ever seen. Gone. You'll never. Her name will be erased from the history books. That's what'll happen. But look at this guy. He's still out there interfering.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
It's funny how
Okay, old man.
going back to Arnold's, that drippy queef of an ex-hero, he was talking about saying that calling America garbage is un-American. But this guy now said that half of the country, essentially, Donald supporters, are garbage.
No.
Do you
remember when Hillary
keeping track anymore?
Remember when Hillary called Republicans a basket of deplorables?
Yeah.
And then even people who were on Hillary's side were like, you know what? That sounds a little bit shitty for like people's brothers and sisters and moms and uncles and people who are in their family who are going to be voting the other way. I mean, either you are American and you have respect for everybody, or you think people who don't think like you are garbage. I mean, that's how it goes, right?
Well,
Not great. So I'll tell you who is garbage is P. Diddy, and I wonder, like, how many people are just desperately afraid that they're going to be on the Diddy lists, like people were scared of the Epstein lists, because, Beyonce was trotted out the other day, talk about celebrity endorsements, and she said she's voting for Kamala. I reckon they said to her, listen, I mean, you better come and do this, or we'll tell them about the Diddy parties. And same with Jennifer Lopez, who I hear she's currently being paraded around. J-Lo, who needed to hear from her? I mean, Ben Affleck will pay you money not to listen to
But
her.
no, this is why I say it's like a TV show, because if Trump wins or Kamala wins, what does that mean for the Diddy list? Is one side going to get us closer to seeing it? And
Hope
does
so.
one, because I would then vote for, the thing is, in Kamala's time, I think it will just be hidden under the rug.
Definitely.
Just like
'cause
Hillary did with
all her supporters are
all those pedophiles.
they're not. It's not people in Midwest America who don't get invited to celebrity parties.
Well, then I officially come out today as a sports podcaster, and I endorse Donald Trump.
Oh, wow.
Because I want to see the Diddy list, and I want to see justice.
So Ben is doing what Arnold Schwarzenegger couldn't. When did Arnold become so soft? I mean, he used to be the coolest guy.
He did.
He had pet tigers and giraffes.
In the
He used to have-
70s, yeah.
He was the
70s.
coolest guy in the whole of America. How did he become such a douchebag?
Don't fuck your nanny.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Right.
Maybe that's it.
Right. I mean, that's Kamala's husband's problem, too. He also fucked the nanny. No, he did. Doug Emhoff. By the way, have you seen his...
Nanny a man?
No, but this is funny. Okay, so this is a clip that's come up a couple of times in my feed, and I always miss it, and then I have to go back and try and find it and record it, but I found it finally. Isn't it weird how guys who pretend they're women, what do you call them, trans women? I can never remember. Is it trans men, trans women, whatever. Isn't it funny how whenever they get cross, they turn back into men immediately?
Yeah.
So this is one on a college campus somewhere. There's a guy interviewing this person, and they lose their shit completely. They like push the guy, and it gets very aggressive. And then out comes the male voice, like, "I'm gonna fuck you up, man." Watch this.
Get the fuck out of my face now!
Ooh,
Now!
that was very rude of you.
Get the fuck out of my face!
Do you want to go to jail? Sir, ma'am, I don't really know what to call you.
You're fucking done, man.
I'm
Let me
done.
get the fucking police. You just insulted me.
Well, listen here, pal. I mean, you are gonna go to jail.
And I could fucking tell the police to get you.
I'm vegan, so don't say that. Listen.
Told me he, man. You really get the fuck out of my way right now.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
You do not have a release. I will sue you.
You're gonna sue him? Don't sue him, man, because we're trying to just...
You do not have a release. If you fucking post this, I will destroy you. I will destroy you.
Just keep going on. I got my crew with me now. I got my crew. Yeah! Yeah! What's up? Woo! Who won? Who's next?
I love it. But there's not even, you see, as soon as that person becomes emotional, all pretense is dropped, right? Like
all
suddenly,
acts.
yeah, of course, it's dress
All
up.
acts.
It's
Halloween.
cosplay. It's cosplay.
It's all long Halloween.
So all actors drop. The voice comes out. I'm gonna kill you, man. He even like grabs his jacket like he's gonna rip it off. You know?
Puffing out his fake chest.
Yeah. It's like, come on, the hell's wrong with you? Oh, speaking of the Diddy party.
This house in the music, the moment you own it, you better never let it go. You only get one shot, do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a life.
I'm gonna have to stop it there, otherwise they'll flag it for copyright. But yes, they have changed the title of Eminem's song "Lose Yourself" to "Lube Yourself" in honor of P. Diddy.
Very important.
Just very, very good.
You're on the receiving end of Hollywood. You got to lube yourself.
I know, James. You've got it working.
We do.
Yeah. All right. James has just burst in. Yeah, but we already started here, and I'm not going to move now, otherwise we have an interruption.
That's okay. It's up to you.
Yeah, no. We'll carry on here until 7 o'clock. That's fine. In any case, Ben and I are having fun. See, James, we don't even need you.
Thanks, James.
Don't go home, because then what will you do for an income? Okay, watch this.
50 million Americans are not garbage. This week, Kamala has been comparing her political opponents to the most evil mass murderers in history. And now, speaking on a call for her campaign last night, crooked Joe Biden finally said what he and Kamala really think of our supporters. He called them garbage. No way. No way. My response to Joe and Kamala is very simple. You can't lead America if you don't love Americans. That's true.
Ah, that's a good line. You can't lead America if you don't love Americans.
For all the showmanship and all the stuff that Donald is famous for, the guy, I think, genuinely has a good heart for this kind of stuff, and he actually cares about America.
I don't think that matters.
I know it doesn't matter, but I think if you were to look past the whatever is going on of the politicking, this guy does actually. You listen to that podcast he did with Andrew Schultz, the Rogan podcast. I thought was boring. Because
I didn't see the show.
I think Joe isn't what he used to be. I think he's so set in what he does. Whereas that Andrew Schultz, the Flagrant podcast, that's the best Donald podcast by some distance. And just listen to the guy. He's a good human. He's just fun.
I think people have got to stop looking to politicians to be the daddy that they never had, or the mommy they never had. Or like, here's Rosie O'Donnell. Okay, she's just a really broken down human being. I mean, there's no other way to put it. She is, and I used this description in a post yesterday. She's a high entropy human being. You know what entropy is? Entropy is the tendency for things to turn to disorder.
Right.
So if you're high entropy, you're a system that is becoming more and more disordered. If you don't look after your house, and it starts to fall apart, and the walls start crumbling, and then the roof caves in, and the floors get broken, and that's your house is becoming a high entropy environment.
Right,
okay, so she's a high entropy person. She's
that's
basically she's disordered, and she's a total flaming nutcase. And she posts these videos. I mean, first of all, you know, Rosie O'Donnell, she doesn't need the attention. She doesn't need the money. She's very happy with that wife of hers. They've adopted children. But she insists, like Joe Biden does, of putting out these videos that no one asks for. And she looks terrible in all of them. She says stupid things, and she's a chocolate fireplace. She's just a disaster from beginning to end. So watch this.
Okay, so how's everybody's nerves about this election? You know, let's say on a scale of 10 being can't think of anything else, and may need some additional medication. I'm like at a 7. I'm at a 7. So that's all right. I can handle a 7. I'm trying not to watch so much of the news now. I'm trying to recite that amazing prayer you do in Al-Anon and AA about, the wisdom to know the difference between the things you can and cannot change. And, if you voted, if you donated, if you could, whatever you did, you participated, and now, we got a week left to worry, and then it's in someone else's hands.
So I made the point on social media this week that I'm really excited about next week, because you're going to see people like that, this just broken down human being who admits that she'll have to go on more medication. You're going to see her completely fall into a heap. You're going to see people screaming into the sky. Here's what will happen. As much as I think it would be great for America if Trump wins, if he doesn't, guess what? I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Politics is not the only thing in my life. I will have things to moan about, like I do now. I'll have things to laugh about, like I do now. My world will carry on. But someone like Rosie O'Donnell, it's kind of, that video should be used in court to prevent people like that from ever having custody of children. She's a total disaster of a human being. And she shows that politics is so important in her life that she's actually considering getting stronger meds, which may just knock her out. When she's got primary school age children that need care. Now, I know she's probably got a servant to do that. She's got someone who nannies the kids, because she couldn't be bothered. She's too busy making videos that no one wants to see of close-ups of her fucking old face, talking about how deranged she is about an election. But this proves again, these people don't have meaning in their life. They don't have a thing to, and she's got kids. That's a good reason to wake up and make the day. Can you imagine how worried those kids are every time they leave home? They're like, Mom might just kill herself today. Mom, if Donald Trump wins, who knows whether we'll get lunch on that day or not.
I don't think those kids are worried because they're so highly medicated.
Probably. They're probably just like their mom. But what a disaster of a human being, really. You see Rosie O'Donnell and you just think, sweet Jesus.
Yeah, but Gareth, all those things you just said now, that's coming from a balanced pod bro. And that's the thing about us. That's the thing about us as pod bros. That. We're actually very well adjusted, happy people.
Do you know why Ben's bringing this up, right? So let me just find this, because this is funny.
I find it's
just explain the context while I find these clips or these little bits and pieces.
Look, going back to this whole thing about the election and all the smearing of characters, is that it's now been seen as a slur to call someone a pod bro, which I think is totally fine, because I know everybody who's a guy who's become a podcaster internationally. They're very well respected people, and they're very well oriented people.
They can speak off the cuff. They've got opinions.
They've got network. They've got influence, and they're all in good shape. None of them are fat. None of them have blue hair. They're good people doing something and influencing people positively.
Well, pod bro is an insult. Let me show you where this comes from. So Max Dupree, a washed-up old journalist who my former producer Damon Calvari came to the defense of, which should tell you everything you need to know about both those people. Max Dupree tweeted this out the other day. Is Trump's lapdog, with a picture of Elon, like that, just so you know I'm not making it up, is Trump's lapdog already making excuses just in case Trump loses and preparing the ground for another violent attack on the Capitol in January? This is from Max Dupree, a supposedly acclaimed journalist. Okay, and he was at a time. Max used to be a very long time ago, like 70s and 80s. He used to be a voice of reason. He was a very solid guy. You could depend on him to tell the truth, stand up to the old regime, Freya Vietblad and all of that stuff. And yes, Max carved out a very good reputation for himself. And up to a while ago, Max was unassailable. I'll admit that. And I actually respected the guy a lot. Now, he's got everything wrong. Okay, so let me just show you what happens then. So I just say this. I had a bit of time on my hands. So I said, I love the way someone who's been so demonstrably wrong, referring to Max, Cyril, COVID, Trump, elections, because he's got all of those things wrong, right? He was massively into COVID. He believed that government should be ruling our lives from, and there's articles to prove this. You don't have to believe me. Go and look him up, and you'll see for probably the last 10 to 15 years, everything Max Dupree has predicted and said has been wrong. Wrong. This is not me being horrible to him. I didn't want him to be. I mean, before that, I thought he was great. So I wanted him to carry on being great. But some people can't keep being great, and maybe they have a drinking problem. Who knows? Yeah. Anyway, I can't believe that someone who's been so demonstrably wrong has the hubris to call a guy who has done all the things that Elon has done a lapdog. You have to have some pretty big stones or be a little demented to do that. Now,
fair comment,
again, I have no issue with Max Dupree being an opinionista. He should be. I like the fact that there are people with those opinions. But imagine me having the gall in the 1980s to call Max Dupree a moron when he was standing up to real danger. He was at a newspaper that was like, for all intents and purposes, under siege every other day. Imagine me going at him in the 1980s or 90s and saying, yeah, this guy's a lapdog to someone. He was absolutely the opposite of that. He was a courageous journalist who we all were right to admire. And he did an enormous amount to push this country in the right direction. And I have no doubt that this country would have been a worse place had Max Dupree not been a part of it. Okay?
Yeah, fair.
Having said that, he's been wrong ever since, like, I don't know, 2010, somewhere around there. I'm not going to keep... You can go look it up. Find how many things he's written that just haven't happened. To go after Elon, because this isn't about me. Like, it's not... I don't have a problem with Max. Max, I don't think even knows who I am. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. To go after Elon and call him a lapdog. I mean, like, here's a businessman who's brave enough. If only we had businessmen in this country who were brave enough to stand up against the government or to throw their weight behind a candidate publicly. They're all so craven, so spineless, so lily-livered that there isn't a single business person in South Africa who would even tell you what they voted.
Yeah.
Because they're afraid. They're just pathetic. And here's a guy who is sending rockets up into the sky. He is inventing new devices, new forms of transport. He's superhero in the world of technology and innovation, and he's got a brave, courageous temperament. He's able to stand up for things that he believes are right or wrong. So when Max says that, it's like, credibility's a little low on that front. Yeah. Anyway, so he then says to me, and this is where it gets to, I'm sorry to drag this out for so long, but it is funny. He goes to me now, because it's about me. It can't be about Elon. You're a walking caricature, dude. Alt-right pod bro, Trump groupie, COVID denier, Musk disciple, calling everything your bigoted mind doesn't like woke, probably climate change denier, and part of the crypto club. So I'm trying to figure out which one of those is an insult. But
that's the exact same thing. When I read that, it's like, is there a bottom line here that goes back and makes it look bad?
I don't know. I mean, it is hilarious. But the fact that this guy who used to have so much cred is arguing with me. So anyway, my response was, see what I mean, Max? You don't need to respond to me if you think I'm a joke. But you have. Now go to sleep. It's past your bedtime.
Fitting.
I don't know. It's just, it drives me crazy how people think. And politics is obviously hugely important to him, right?
But I also think that if you just take it away from Max, I think journalism in general, and we saw it with CNN, who got so upset that they didn't own news anymore. That's why they hated Joe Rogan. The whole podcast bro thing started. It's not easy doing what you do, Gareth. You get up and you talk, and you have to be accountable for your opinions. You have to present. You have to have confidence. And that's another thing is a lot of journalists could have been podcasts because they could have ridden that wave. That's how media works, right? You try to get them to the forefront of that.
Very important feedback from Surviving Life says, Gareth needs some pushback from his co-host. Society moves forward when there's diversity of opinions or ideas. Really?
Is this your first show?
Oh, it's great. The richest man on earth is a laptop. No, I think you mean lapdog, but yes.
Yeah, it's weird. I saw another, I forget his name now, again, a local sort of celebrity in South Africa calling Elon so stupid. Like, wow. On what basis do you get to bark at that dog?
So just by the way, I mean, like, I'm not an Elon disciple, okay? I don't have an electric car.
I think they're stupid.
I don't want to go to Mars. I don't think that that's massively important in my life. I don't know. I haven't read the Elon biography like everybody seems to have. Remember when everyone was reading Richard Branson? I didn't read that either. So I don't know that I'm an Elon disciple at all. I just think this is an incredible human being who, just on merit, deserves a little more credit than people are giving him, especially people who are politically. He was fine, by the way. Let's just remember, Elon Musk was fine until he came out against the Democrats. Then suddenly he became persona non grata.
Exactly.
So if you guys, if you were at least consistent and you've hated him all along, I'd say, okay, cool. Maybe you met him at Boys High years ago and he was just a douche to you and you hated him ever since. I'll say, okay, well, you know what? You're consistent.
Yes.
But it was only at the moment that he threw his weight behind the Republicans and Donald Trump that people became anti-Elon. Before that, he was their hero. He was saving the environment. He was a tech bro. He was all of those things. Don't tell me that we've reached a point in society where merit means so little that everybody believes in their diseased minds that they're all equal. Like, you are not equal to everyone else. You're just not. I'm not. Ben is not. There are things he can do that I can't do.
Yeah.
There are things that I do that he can't do. There are things that you're going to be shit at, and you will be judged by people on that, whether or not people in the media tell you that's how it works. You know? Here, who cares, Gareth, says Ricky. Okay, Ricky's got a lot to say here. Let me just see. Who cares, Gareth? What is wrong with supporting Elon and being a fan of his? One of the smartest guys that ever lived, takes humanity forward. He supports free speech. What is there not to like? Well, I'll tell you what, you're spot on. We're not arguing.
See, and that's what I can't push back against. Everything Gareth said there it's fact, it's true, it's
Come on,
sensible.
Ben, push back against it.
No, I push back a lot of things against you, but it's just common sense. The oak has balls. He has vision. He wants to do something. He's not just trying to get a job for the next 4 years.
The greatest thing that man has done for humanity has nothing to do with rockets or electric cars. The fact that he bought Twitter and made it a place where everybody's voice gets a chance, even if you're saying absolute horseshit things, is the greatest thing he's done. Free speech, and he said this, now, I do sound like an Elon disciple now, but he said free speech is the reason that America is better than China. China's got brilliant people who have brilliant ideas, but the reason that China will never do as well as America and that communism will never beat capitalism is because you need competition. And in a competitive environment, everybody has to have the right to say what they think and to do what they say. And that can't happen under an autocratic communist regime.
It's literally where innovation lives. And the thing about China is that they keep churning out all these amazing engineers, but they're not that innovative because they can't be Elons.
Shut up, pod bro.
I'm putting pod
Is that
bro.
a thing, by the way? I mean, like, do people use that term?
No, it often gets used, but again,
but not by people who do podcasts.
no, it's just living their lives. But it's a derogatory term, which I think is a massive compliment. It really is. I'm going to put that in my social media bios. Pod bro.
Sean says, Gareth, your producer's controlling the volume throughout the entire show is either slightly deaf or he needs a puss clap or he needs to be shown. Yes, it's very angry, Sean.
Yes, Sean, it's been a tough morning already, huh?
Grant says, Ben, have you recovered from Auntie Ruda? We haven't heard from you since. We asked you to blink if you were safe. What, he's been on the show the whole morning?
Grant, I have a weekly show. I'm always here.
In fact,
What do you want from me?
interviewed his hero yesterday.
I did. I got to, yeah. Yeah, we put together a little pod series, a little pod bro series for the Nedbank Golf Challenge with Sun International. And Gary was obviously the anchor guest of this 5-part series. it was quite something, to have him in our Real Network studios. I mean, obviously it's a big honor for me, but I think it was an even bigger honor for young James and Tion, who could have been part of the production yesterday. I mean, I know he's going to look back on this year, all the things that happened, and James will know that the Gary Player moment was it.
We'll get to sport in a second. I see Carl says he has blocked people he does not agree with. Elon?
Max? No, I'm assuming that would be Max.
Max. Well, whoever it is, I mean, you have the right to decide who you want to hear from. You're allowed to block people, especially, you've got to judge people, right? If you invite someone to a party and they're boring and you hate talking to them, you never invite them again. You don't have to keep inviting them. Just the same way as if you go to lunch with a girl on a speed date and she's extremely irritating, you don't have to have a second date.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
You don't. If someone embarrasses and humiliates themselves by saying really stupid shit on social media, you are allowed to block them. You don't have to keep listening. There is no rule in the world that says you have to listen to nonsense. So I don't know where you're going with that, Carl, but
well, I think it's more
I defend Max's right to block me if he feels like it.
Which, of course, because that's a right that you have. But I think it's what Carl's picking up here is that trend of if someone doesn't agree with you, you don't engage with them, you just don't want to talk to them. And it's the head in the sand kind of thing. I think that's what Carl was getting at.
Sure. There are two different things there. I mean, yes. you can block someone because they're ruining your day and making your timeline irritating.
But the left doesn't debate. And we've seen that so many times now. And again, it's the absence of them on it's like a Joe Rogan podcast. They won't go to a pod bro because they got nothing to say and they'll be shown up. Because pod bros ask good questions.
Carl, why are you gay? Says Bitcoin Bud. All right, let's do some sport because Ben isn't here just for his health.
I am. That makes me invigorated being here.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, there's
Ben and Gary.
Me yesterday.
There's the great Gary Player, everybody. Look at that.
Now, I know that image looks sterile, but it was just full of warmth and love. And that interview will come out relatively soon.
How long did you talk to him?
We probably chatted flat out for about 25, 27 minutes.
Nice.
And then obviously there were some pleasantries either side. But yeah, it's cool. It's going to be a really cool podcast series because that golf event, it's the same age as me. Obviously, Gary built the golf course that it was played upon. He was one of the original men there. He was in the first year, there was 5 people that played that tournament.
Did he talk about apartheid?
Yes. Well, I mean, look, what you get for 25 minutes out of Gary is that you get everything, absolutely everything. And we'll do our best to edit it in such a way that, it'll be one of those things that the family sits down together and watches.
For those who are confused, we are not in the studio because they were busy sorting some technical issues out, but we're in the building, so we'll be in the studio just after 7. But there's no point in us getting up or walking there now and interrupting the show. You spoke about Gary, but did you speak about Dale Hayes?
Yeah, geez, Dale's lost weight.
Yeah, that's a great picture of me. And people have said I look like Dale Hayes, so that's what I've got to look forward to if I don't look after myself.
Yeah, but I think you're still looking quite dapper for 83 there, Gareth.
All right, what's going on in the sport? Go on.
Okay, so sport right
Over
now.
to Ben.
Yeah, fantastic weekend. A really weird thing happened in cricket recently. New Zealand went to India and absolutely dicked them in a test series. So New Zealand only have, and I've said this many times over the years on the show, in New Zealand, there are so many sports that have to be contact sports, so rugby league, rugby union, and then guys fight a lot. So not a lot of people play cricket. Basically, it's the skinny white guys that play cricket a lot of the time in New Zealand. So it's a very small pool. But these oaks, they punch above their weight so much that I just wish that we had that sort of playbook here for the Proteas. They beat India 2-0 in the first, so they're 2-0 up. In the third test, I mean, they've already won the series. Now they're just showboating. They won the toss at 33-1. So you've got test cricket to look forward to there. Now, I know it looks like a dead rubber after New Zealand have won. But India are about to go to Australia and they're going to play a 5-test series. So this game is huge for them. So it's not like, we'll give this a chance or whatever. This test is so big for India right now. And if they get dicked again, sheepers, the Aussies are going to be, Aussies, I know they've gone soft. But at the same time, if you go into their country in the 5-test series with blood in the water, they are going to go extra, extra, extra hard.
Hey, by the way, I heard an interesting statistic yesterday that 1 in 4 Australian men is the victim of violence from a woman. And that's lower than in America, where it's 1 in every 2.
What does that say about the Aussie woman, though? Because
Yeah.
I know the men are going softer, but are Aussie women that hardcore? Go on holiday and go backpacking in Thailand to get the answer for that. Right, Premier League. So obviously Arsenal is going to bounce back. Last weekend it was so frustrating. They should have absolutely hammered Liverpool. Liverpool not having a good day, but Arteta is. I think he needs more penetration. He really does. And I hate sitting here and saying that because we've dropped points. We've had the red cards, and he just stops playing. So hugely frustrating, but again, Arsenal have more players back. They're going to have much more of a first team. They're playing against Newcastle. They'll be at 2:30 on Saturday. Liverpool will be hosting Brighton at 5 to try and keep their really good run going. They are top of the log currently. Bournemouth are hosting Man City. Now, Man City lost in the Carabao Cup this week, so they're going to bounce back heavy there, I would imagine. And then Sunday, an invigorated Spurs will be taking on Aston Villa. That's going to be a great game. And then Man United with Ruud van Nistelrooy currently holding the reins there.
Wow,
they're taking on Chelsea. No, Ruud van Nistelrooy, it was the assistant guy. Eric Ten Hag, the bald Dutch guy, he got fired.
Oh, okay. So
he's
got mixed up.
So he's out in his arse, but feel no sorrow for him because when you get fired as a manager, they pay you out your contract, right? So it's like they had like a 3-year deal, and Ajax better be giving him a cut on all those guys that Man United overpaid for, who then did nothing once they got to Old Trafford. So Ruud van Nistelrooy, he's in charge of the Carabao Cup against Leicester, and Man United absolutely hammered them. So yeah, it's again, Man United is the gift that keeps on giving, whether it's to laugh at them or just to be in awe of the fact that they win pointless games by huge margins. They are amazing. Locally, there are the Carling Knockout Cup games. So Richards Bay versus Cape Town City on Saturday, along with Kaizer Chiefs versus Sundowns at 6, being dubbed as the rematch because Chiefs fans believe that in their league match early in the season, they were done over by the fact that we can't afford VAR. And then Sunday, there's 2 more games there. Galants versus Stellenbosch at 3, and then TS Galaxy versus Magesi at 3. So the highlight for me this weekend, I know England are playing New Zealand in Test Rugby, so the whole autumn series kicks off heavily next week with everybody playing. This week, you've just got New Zealand versus England, and then Scotland are hosting Fiji. But what I really want to get into before we get to 7 o'clock is how damn exciting the Grand Prix has suddenly become.
Oh?
So 4 races to go. Max has a 47-point lead on. Do you want to get in here, guys?
No, I'm just listening.
So Max has a 47-point lead with 4 races to go over Lando Norris, who is surging. Now, I think it was going into the Belgian Grand Prix. Max had a 10-race penalty slapped upon him because he used an extra power unit. You get 4 engines per season. If you go over that, you then get penalties. So Max used the 5th, 10th place penalty. He's now about to use his 6th engine. So he really needs the points right now because it's all one-way traffic. Everyone's coming to him. He's not pulling away from them. But because he's already taken a 10-place penalty, it'll be more like he'll have a 5-race penalty at the Sao Paulo Grand Prix this weekend, which is still massive. But what's also massive is in the last few races, he's been left behind on the straights. You cannot be competitive at this level if you're not going to be the absolute fastest. And the thing about an F1 engine is, yes, he's gone through 4, but because they are so hectically high-powered, once they get to a certain range, it's not like your Suzuki Swift. It loses so much power, and those 2-3% is what means either 1st or 5th. So Max is up against it. They're putting the last roll of the dice in this new engine with 4 races. This weekend at Sao Paulo, it is a sprint race as well, so he needs everything he's got there. The Constructors' Championship is long gone. Checo Perez has been absolutely shite. So, I mean, if you don't love Formula One by now, you may never love it. It's just, there's so much happening. Ferrari coming back.
I never thought I'd hear these words.
Me either, because we all like Grand Prix for certain aspects, but there's different layers that are now coming out about it. And if Max wins this World Championship, I mean, he's going to win many for the rest of his life. He's already won a few. I think this would be one of the most iconic kind of ways of going about it. He started like an absolute raging bull, like a raging Red Bull, and his car was good, and then his abilities took him further. But he's been treading water for the last 2 months. And if he can hang on and win this thing in Abu Dhabi, I think it's going to be absolutely incredible. So yeah, that's pretty much it for your sport this weekend. Formula One in Sao Paulo, so it's going to be late at night, just like the other ones we've had. Chiefs versus Sundowns in the Carling Cup knockouts on Saturday. Loads of Premier League. And if you like cricket, this India and New Zealand Test series has been phenomenal. Just remember, next week, India comes here. We have the SA versus India T20 series that'll be starting next Friday. Huge amounts of cricket for the summer. So damn exciting.
Always good. Tracy says, true story, the Sheilas are hardcore in Australia. A good friend is a copper in Oz, and 90% of his call-outs are domestic violence, where the women are the perps. Tough place.
Yeah, Aussie men do better.
Yeah,
Just going to say, do
really
better.
Outrageous.
Become more masculine, I think. Become more, just not enough pod bros in Australia.
And that's it. That's the problem. Because when you think pod bros, you don't think of Australia.
I would like to run a separate test, Gareth. How many pod bros have been beaten up by a woman?
Probably none.
That was going to be my top
It's
of
a
the...
fair guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We only got a little bit of time before we take a break and
Well,
get
we're
back
going
in
back
the
to the
studio.
studio.
Yeah. But I think this is quite funny. Here's a picture of Leonardo DiCaprio and of Britney. And the caption here is, we all dreamed of looking like Leo and Britney when we were teenagers, and now we finally do. Look at them. Look at them. Nothing to be ashamed of if you look anything better than those, which is not a hard business. Jesus, Britney, I think one of my groups of friends has just suddenly discovered Britney Spears again, and all of her embarrassing videos that she keeps putting out. And
But she looks like one of those meme raccoons who's just stolen food, and it's like the sugar content in that stolen food was higher than they thought, and they look wired, edgy, and unreliable.
It's the same group as Rosie O'Donnell. It's the same thing. I mean, Rosie's much older, much uglier, but Britney's just as embarrassing. I mean, it's really that bad.
Gareth, you know, I
don't know what to say.
You know, I don't like to talk about Britney anymore, but it's just sad what Hollywood
sad.
can do to
Very,
you.
very
But
sad.
the thing is, like, Leonardo DiCaprio is fat because who's he got to impress?
Oh, look at that guy. Got a lot of work to do there too.
Great jersey. I love how on that picture you've worn the most grandpa jersey
I know.
I've ever seen you in.
All right, well, there we go. And then you'll all know who Gorlock the Destroyer is. I saw this
yes.
picture yesterday, which made me laugh.
Hollywood can't break Gorlock.
At the bottom of them is all the girls on that podcast, which I've actually never watched an episode of this podcast. I only see the clips, and have you watched it?
Let me guess. It's a podcast, but the podcast bro comes out well.
I think he's quite
I
good.
don't think those girls come out well in this.
No, I don't think so. In fact, somebody said that they watched that podcast. What's it called? Like whatever pod or something. Somebody said that they were watching it and they think it is disgusting that there's a podcast that makes women look stupid.
Well, someone could say a podcast that makes women look accountable or makes women accountable. That's the other side of that coin.
No one's making them look stupid. They're choosing to sit in front of the microphone. They're being asked questions and they come out stupid, which must mean that they're stupid, which must mean it's not somebody's fault except them.
Yeah.
Accountability starts with you. If someone is embarrassing you, you see, I've never seen a guy or a white person or a tall person embarrass themselves and thought, oh, that reflects badly on me. You know, if Ben, as a fellow white, goes out today and axe murders 17 people, I'm not suddenly going to go, oh, that's very bad. You know, my first thought won't be, Ben's done a real ringer on the white people here. This is very bad.
Don't worry, white people, I won't.
Yeah, and I also, if you went and did that and then people said, oh, men, you see, these men are so embarrassing. I'd be like, I'm not axe murdering anybody. Don't lump me in with Ben just because he's also a man.
Yeah.
And the same goes for any other group. Why are you feeling responsible for a bunch of stupid chicks on a podcast when they're behaving like stupid chicks? Why would you think that reflects on you? Unless you're also a stupid chick. I may have solved your problem. All right, it's 7 o'clock. We'll be back with the show live from the studio next. Don't go anywhere.
Why aren't you going to do courses that upskill you? I don't know why filmmakers don't do that. You know, go and learn tricks. Man, I saw that shot. How did you do
it? Yeah.
That is what we need.
Especially like for the younger ones, you know, like up and coming filmmakers, up and coming videographers. Go and watch YouTube videos. I swear, that's what we do here, believe it or not. And we also just puzzling along. Is that you go and you upskill yourself and say, okay, well, how did this other guy do this? They've shot this thing and they've edited it in such a way that it's like, this is what we produce. And that's really, I think, that's the best way to get noticed. They make up for in skills what they lack in equipment.
Correct.
If you're an aspiring videographer, I'd approach a team and I'd be like, yo, I want to come and film. I'm going to come with my guys and we're going to make the most hot content.
The Proteas.
Yeah. There's a comment here from Signet. I used to love cricket. The IPL killed it for me. I don't watch anymore. Also, the Proteas. See, I mean,
That's the last line is the most important.
but you know what? That is like a short story in one sentence. I used to love cricket. We all were there. IPL did kill it.
I just arrived. I was quite excited about the evening. Well, back. I mean, the first mistake I made was to say,
How are you?
how are you?
And what did she say?
Well, not great. Not great. Then I made the second cardinal mistake. I said, why?
And you should have just shut up and moved on.
I should have said, John, I'm sorry, see you later. But I said, why? What's happened? I was confused. I just arrived. I was excited. I wasn't thinking straight. I hadn't put on my anti-victim armor yet. I wasn't expecting it. I was at a friend's birthday party.
People love it. It's so easy because you don't have to earn it. It's just you find something in your life that makes you slightly uncomfortable. Oh, there's something in my shoe.
Well, victims can't generate their own happiness.
Barack and Big Mike.
Big Mike. Big
Wow.
Mike, look, such a handsome guy.
Handsome chap. I don't know why he had to be the one who had to put on the dress.
Yeah.
Could have been the other way around. All right, let's get on with the show. Good morning. It's Friday, and you've made it to the weekend. Was that all live? Oh shit. Okay. Well, good morning. This is the Gareth Cliff Show. We are in our studio. We were trying to do the show professionally earlier, but we had technical issues.
Yeah.
Now we're here.
But yet,
So it's
we
all
still
good.
did it professionally, even though it did look like it was a hostage situation. I'm totally fine, everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
everyone assume that
we-
I'm being taken.
And we are pod bros, so
I'm just a pod bro here on the couch with a podcast mic in front of me.
all right. Well, a lot to talk about this morning. Sure. Where do we begin? There's just so much going on at the moment. It feels to me like we need to just spend a little time getting to know our own backyard. Okay. And by that, I mean a famous place in Cape Town called Graaff's Pool,
Yes.
which we've discussed on the show from time to time. It's come up. Graaff's Pool, clearly there's a history I didn't even know about, that Ben didn't even know about, that we found out about from some dude that you follow on Instagram. Ben found this clip. I thought this is probably the best historical explanation I've ever heard for what Graaff's Pool is, and I still haven't ever seen it. So I'm trying to place it in my mind. It's in Sea Point
Have you
somewhere.
never taken a walk on the prom and stopped at Graaff's Pool and listened to the distant cries of previous generations of men?
You said it's on the promenade, but I mean, it's a long promenade. So where?
If you catch the wind just right, you can hear the screams of young boys who are led astray at Graaff's Pool.
Okay. So
as legend has it,
Graaff's Pool was a very famous jaunt of the homosexuals of Cape Town.
Yeah.
At a time where that was illegal. And there were old ladies apparently on balconies with telescopes and binoculars trying to get a look at some cock. And that's where the whole thing went awry. But before that, there's a history too. So take a look at this. I don't know who this guy is, but I like the fact that he's going around Cape Town probably, or maybe all other places too. and he's telling us the history of these very interesting sites.
Do you know the story about Graaff's Pool on the Sea Point Promenade? It involves this tunnel, this dilapidated swimming area, and this block of flats behind me called Bordeaux, which used to be a villa by the same name. A guy called Peter Marais built the original villa in 1903, and he worked in the wine industry, so he named the villa Bordeaux after the wine region in France. Peter's wife was paralyzed from the waist down after a difficult childbirth in which the only child passed away. She would sit in the window of their villa and watch the strollers of Sea Point pass by, and became known as the Lady of Bordeaux. There was no way for her to go to any beaches nearby, and there was a stigma surrounding people with disabilities. So her husband built a tunnel underneath the road and underneath the tram tracks we had at the time, and where she could travel along here and then bathe unseen behind the walls over there.
Huh.
It became known
There's
as
the
Below
park.
Bordeaux. The house was later bought by Jacobus Graaff, which is where the name currently comes from. He was the uncle of Sir de Villiers Graaff, who was the opposition leader to 3 apartheid governments. From the 70s onwards, it became a swimming pool for men who would bathe there
For
naked.
men.
And there's a famous story about women on the top stories of the nearby buildings who complained about seeing all the naked men. The thing was that they had to stand on top of their tables looking through binoculars to actually see them. In the early 2000s, there were reports of drug use and trafficking around here. So they destroyed the pools, and the walkway now lies ruined. The thing is that if you time it right, this natural gully behind me is still one of the best swimming spots in Sea.
Okay, so the guy's name is Natural Wanderer. And I recommend that you follow him because he might have other interesting things to tell us. But what a sadness that they've ruined Graaff's Pool just because there was a bit of turd burgling and some drugs.
So imagine what those tunnies were seeing from their apartments. Imagine what those sailors were seeing with the binoculars looking that way. They would have seen exactly what Graaff's Pool was about. But isn't it funny how human nature, things just always de-escalate like that?
But why not just let the men frolic around without their clothes on in Graaff's Pool?
I think that
now
was,
there's nothing there.
Gareth, I think that was fine. It was when young men were coerced into going there and doing things potentially against their own will.
All right.
I think that was the downfall of Graaff's
Pool.
The drug element, and then graffiti got involved, and that's the worst.
That's whenever it's drugs and
That
graffiti,
for me is when it really went
it's time
downhill.
to close the Tupperware. Yeah, and now it's just like this concrete walkway. Okay, so very, very sad. Sorry, Cape Town. If you can't look after things and you can't behave, they'll be taken away from
Kind
you.
of nice things like Graaff's Pool, no longer.
The government will take them away from you. Oh, they must have had fun there in the 70s.
It's a classic saying, if these walls could talk, Graaff's Pool would have the most stories.
For sure. All right, so my favorite country in the world right now is El Salvador, because El Salvador's got a president called Bukele, who is just a no-nonsense guy. He's taking absolutely no shit from anyone. There was this area in town where there were gangs hiding out. Now, you know, he's built a whole new prison, and he's filled the prison up. At the moment, if you are suspected of being in a gang, even if there isn't proof yet, they lock you up. So they've got in this country, for example, you're innocent until proven guilty. He's changed that around because they had such escalating crime that apparently now it's guilty until proven innocent. So he's put all these people in jail.
It obviously sounds rough, but you got to understand the history of El Salvador and the level of violent crime.
Yeah.
You have to have a different approach, unfortunately.
People were being hacked to pieces in the street at night and that kind of thing. It's really not. It wasn't a very savory, a salubrious place. Anyway, he's built these prisons. He's put a whole lot of gangsters away. There's been a bit of moaning from like human rights organizations and obviously that's their job. We need human rights organizations to do that. That's one of the few places in the world where they have a job, they have a purpose. In this country, I don't know whether the Human Rights Commission actually has any purpose, but that's a story for another day. Either way, there's this area in El Salvador where a bunch of gangsters were hiding. Take a look at the array of military and police officers that Bukele got together to storm into this area. They went through every house. They went through every apartment. They went down every street. They found all the gangsters. They've put them away. Apparently, this happened a while ago. Apparently now El Salvador is the kind of place that it is safe for women to walk around at any time of the day or night on their own. They will not be harassed, molested, attacked, bothered, or otherwise waylaid by men with nefarious purposes. So I think that's a good thing, not just for those women, but for everyone else who lives in the country. Why do you want to feel unsafe?
Got to break a few eggs. Constantly sad. But I mean, is it so what you're saying is they went house to house and they're going to grab first, question later.
Yeah.
Has there never been a worse time in El Salvador to have bad tattoos?
Oh, no, definitely. And this is why I will warn people, if you're going to get a tattoo, the tide may change in any country. And then you suddenly have like, fuck the police. Well, it's not going to go so well for you.
Yeah, that fiery sleeve and neck ensemble you're looking for.
The prison face tattoos.
Yeah.
Not so good. The one where need tick, call me with your phone number on. Not good.
It's going to get you in the slammer.
So take a look at this video. It's quite incredible to see. Look at that.
It's like Star Wars.
Yeah, it does look like Star Wars. Pretty insane. Those are just the police. And then they've got military and special forces guys as well. And that's really, that's do not fuck with us stuff. Now, I mean, look at them. Under the bridges, everywhere. Graaff's pool. So you see, I mean, you can, somewhere in the middle of that is what I think is right. I don't like a police state. I mean, El Salvador's got real problems, and you could argue our country does too. And maybe, a blitz like that wouldn't be a bad thing. If you've done something wrong, you probably should be fearful.
Yeah.
If you haven't done anything wrong, well, then what do you got to fear? If the police knock on your door and you're a law-abiding citizen, you should be fine.
With no tattoos.
But
you always look at that as like, how does this swing around? Okay, so now they solve crime, but now they've got 100,000 people who've got a bit of an appetite for kicking ass and swinging fucking dick in places.
Right.
So then what do they do from there? They don't all become ornithologists after that. They might want to keep kicking ass and swinging dick, and then somewhere else, maybe they invade some other country.
Yes.
I think that's how it works in the history.
I think that's how it's worked. Ben's brief guide to history, given to you in all of like 20 seconds there. All right, this is quite cool. It is Halloween. Well, it was Halloween last night. I don't know if in South Africa that's such a big thing. I had Joe Mann on the show with me on Wednesday. He said he's told his children, forget about it. There's no Halloween. I'm not giving you sweets, and you don't go to sleep.
Leadership.
Leadership from him. In my neighborhood, one of the people on our WhatsApp group, one of the people's house, they showed a basket of sweets outside their house. I'm guessing it probably lasted like 2 or 3 seconds. Because as soon as those little shits found it, I'm sure they demolished the entire thing. Didn't last very long. If it gave the mom who put it out joy, awesome. Nice for you. Made the neighborhood better. I don't put out that stuff. I don't encourage children to come to my door. I don't want them near my house, especially people from the neighborhood that I don't know.
Halloween is just so dark. I mean, I'm not into that kind of thing.
Why is it so dark?
It's so dark because
the ghosts and the skeletons
all that
and
kind of shit. I don't think there's a massive place.
Ben
for
doesn't
that.
like that.
No, well, why do we need that in our lives? Why don't you just summon the spirits? We should just focus on being happy, light individuals.
Okay, so you don't do anything. Like
I don't
that.
do
There's
fucking
nothing going
nothing
on in your
Halloween.
apartment.
I don't
block.
put fucking stupid costumes on my cats or anything no nonsense. If a child knocks at my door, I'd be surprised, and so would the child. It would just be bad.
So where are your parents?
I mean, there's this new guy.
Let's phone your parents. Come and take you away.
Like a new guy moved in next door to me because I've had no neighbors for forever.
Oh, you had a vacant place next to you.
Yeah, where I live's great because it's quiet. No one's around. Someone's moved in. I don't know if he was having a Halloween shindig last night, but he had people over.
Someone invited me to a Halloween party last night, and I don't go out during the week, so I just said sorry. I mean, it sounded like quite a lot of fun. People dressed up, and I do think that there's something to it. We spoke about this before the Marble Circus thing that I went to on Saturday, and I think if you're going to dress up, do it properly. Go the whole hog. Girls like dressing up more than we do.
Yeah.
Which is fair because most Halloween outfits for women are like sexy pirate, sexy nurse, sexy zombie.
It's funny. You just preface
sexy something. You just
anything.
put sexy in front of it.
Yeah, that's the prefix. I mean, like, I don't want to be that guy, but it's obvious. When you're young, you can do this kind of shit because you're going to be around hot chicks. If someone invites me to if someone in my peer group invites me to a Halloween party right now, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
See frumpy women in fucking fishnets and what looks to be cobwebs and
guys with beer boops
and like a push-up bra is being asked to do way too much.
Happy Halloween.
No,
Great. Gareth, don't you live in China, says Carl. Aren't there always drug-addled zombies roaming the streets? It's always Halloween there. I know where you live, Carl, but there you take your pick of a South African city. And if you're going to throw shade at Tshwane for having zombies, fucking, let me tell you, go into Joburg, you'll find some zombies there too. Ask anybody who leaves Ellis Park late at night after a game.
They're everywhere. Actually, you know what? I take it back. I should have been more festive last night. I should have driven up and down Rudd Road and seen if the Machoshas dressed up. Because if they got into the swing of things...
Pumpkin-themed Machoshas.
I mean, if they got in the swing of things, it would have been kind of cool. It's like, okay, you're normally out here dressed like a slut because you are one. But then tonight you've gone like with a skeletal outfit or something.
No, that would have been
That would have been funny. I mean, that
it's
would
an
have been...
opportunity for Machoshas to really up their game.
Yeah, but I mean, like whenever you go to a shopping mall and it's Christmas or it's Easter or whatever, they
decorate it. And,
So prostitutes should go hard on Halloween.
Well, it's an opportunity. And, you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a lot of effect.
It might even be a kink for some guys to...
it'll be a way for you to stand out from the other Machoshas.
To purchase a corpse bride rather than a bride for...
There we go.
Don't want to give away too many ideas.
No, we've got to hold on to some of these, trademark them, and then sell them later. Here is something cool that they did for Halloween, though. I like this because New York, despite all of its problems, and my God, there isn't a day that I don't see something on my feed about like some naked man running around with a stick, just attacking random people in New York. People have big problems there. There's a lot of drugs on the streets. There's clearly a lot of issues. I've got friends who live in New York.
Oh,
I tell you what, I mean, the subway is just, you take your life in your hands. But when New York does something right and they do it full and properly and they go all out, it is magnificent to see. So here's New York City. Apparently, thousands of New Yorkers do this every year for Halloween. They dress up and they go and they dance to Michael Jackson's Thriller. And this is just beautiful. Take a look at this. Look at how many people. Love it. That is so great. Yeah. Mic on? Yeah, it's just... I think that's so cool. And you know what? For all the things that New York is famous for that are not so great, this kind of thing makes it unbelievable. Look at how many people are there. It's phenomenal.
That's so deep.
Right? I love it. And clearly, the majority of them can dance, which is more than I can say for myself.
Well, I can tell you what, you don't want to be a young child after that, though. There's a lot of Michaels on the loose.
Oh, boy. All right.
It's quite the combo. Kids looking for sugar and Michael Jackson's on the loose.
So, Ben, what is the suicide pod?
Oh, I think some Dutch inventor / doctor kind of guy. He's put together this product that he thinks is going to be a huge hit. Like, you can give someone a suicide pod. So if you want to die, as in euthanize yourself, or that time has come, you just pop yourself into this pod. You close it, and then obviously all the oxygen kind of goes.
How depressing!
And then you die. Well,
and he reckons is going to be a big seller.
I mean, what's more depressing? You're living the last days of your life, shitting your pants, and nobody wants to be around you. Look, people die, okay? And this whole thing about...
But those kind of people can't even get into the pod.
Look, the whole thing about right to choose is obviously going to be a tough
What
topic.
if you don't like Gran and you just stuff her in the suicide pod and close the door?
But there's also that, right? So there's so many different things. That's why I thought it was quite an interesting product. This guy's adamant that he's doing something great for society. He's giving people choice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to do certain things in life. So there's a picture of the suicide pod.
Oh, my God.
But no, this is where the story gets a bit fruity. The original prototype of the suicide pod had a woman who's in there and then died. But then they did like a little autopsy. It looked like she was strangled.
Oh, no.
So the suicide pod doesn't come with a man who strangles you. It's meant to just put you to sleep and then you die. You know, you suffocate and die. But it's beautiful.
Wow.
But, you know, obviously arrests are being made.
Did they put that in the forest?
I don't know why it's in the forest either.
Why did they put it in the forest?
So I looked about 4 or 5 different sources and nobody could tell me that why this thing was in the forest in the first place. But this guy is adamant.
This.
He's adamant that he's going to go ahead with this. And he thinks it's going to be a huge success.
I mean, what are you saying to someone if you buy them the suicide pod for Christmas?
That they've
What are you telling them?
They've tried to take their lives unsuccessfully, or they keep
Yeah,
talking
you're like,
about
I know
it.
you're going to be bad at this, but we all think you should go, and we support your decision to take yourself out, and we bought you a suicide pod. Oh, thanks, that's so sweet. I love you guys.
Yeah, look, I won't buy one, nor will I buy one for someone who's older. But wouldn't it be like a
Who
weird?
would you buy it for?
Somebody who wants to die.
Who?
Imagine I was your friend and I said, you know what, Gareth, nothing's going well. I think it's time to check out, but I've got a fear of heights, so I can't jump off anything. I don't like guns. I don't like needles.
And you basically then you're starting to beg for a suicide pod.
After 3 or 4 of these conversations, you'd be like, you know what, Ben, this guy has just created this product, and I think it'd be a really good thing for you. That conversation exists somewhere in this world, and you know it does. So this oak is going ahead with this, and he reckons this is going to be a big success. So
why do you need the pod?
Because it's the most painless way of
I don't know.
Exiting.
I think you could probably take a handful of like drugs that you shouldn't have. People are very creative about this stuff. But you know how I feel about it. I've really moved on this spectrum from left to right and back again 100 times. I don't want to talk about this too much because it's Friday and I'm a happy guy. But here it is. I used to be one of those people who thought, you know what, if you want to like off yourself, you own your meat vehicle, you do what you want. And as long as you don't inconvenience too many other people, leave a mess.
As in have a suicide pod. No mess.
Yeah, like
No
I'm
mess.
all for it. So maybe the old me would have gone, yeah, great idea. Good invention. Do we just bury you in the pod? Need a quite big hole by the looks of that. Show that picture again.
No, you wouldn't get buried in the pod.
Okay. Because you want to reuse it.
I mean, you would leave the pod in the will. You could then sell it to someone else. One success rate.
I don't know if anyone else wants to get in that one.
I don't know what
Once
the
you've
second-hand
tried
market
it.
of pods are. That's another part of the story I don't know yet.
The suicide roller coaster. Now that sounds like a lot more fun.
Like I'm not taking my life. I think it's an absolute gift for what I've got here. But some people do like this
Is that
kind
it?
of stuff.
That looks like a graph that they asked in my matric final for geometry. They're like, or trigonometry or algebra or calculus or something. Some fucking shit I didn't understand. That looks so. What, you come down and then go through all those loops? Oh, right. You get faster and faster.
And then what do you do?
Into
Do you
the smallest
explode?
loop? And then what, do you die?
Guys,
Wow.
you're starting to actually increase the cause for the suicide pod now.
Look.
Because if suicide pod's no mess, no fuss. Who's going to build a fucking roller coaster for one person to die?
Yeah, what a mess, though.
That's a mess.
Okay, so now my opinion is that actually I don't like suicide. I would not encourage it. I am against the idea of particularly young people, particularly healthy people, ever even contemplating this stuff. And I feel kind of strongly about it. I wouldn't say that that your family should be prosecuted if you're an old person and they decide to use just a little extra of whatever the painkiller is at the end. I don't feel that that's right. So I'm still on the page there, but I don't have respect for suicide the way that I used to. I used to think in a very stoic way, like Cato the Elder, who went out into the desert in Utica in North Africa, and they wouldn't give him a knife because they knew what he was going to do. And then he pretended that the bread was too hard for him to break. And he said, "Can I borrow your knife?" And he cut the piece of bread, and then they were all talking, and he wandered out into the desert, and he offed himself by thrusting the gladius into his ribs and puncturing his heart. And he died the way he wanted to die. He realized he couldn't defeat Caesar. They had failed in their plan to bring back the Republic. And he thought his purpose was at an end. And he was old. He was in his 60s, maybe even 70s at that point. And his whole life had been about bringing back the Republic. And so I always thought, what a noble way for someone like Cato to go. But it's very rare that people do that kind of suicide, a positive, if you forgive me for a really corrupt way to use the word, a positive suicide. And I think most suicide is cowardly. And I think most of it is people who don't want to deal with life. And I've said this before. I think life's awesome. You've got to make whatever you can of it. You've got this one special opportunity to do a couple of really cool things and experience
every day.
Phenomenal
Every day.
Ups and downs, a roller coaster, if you would. And to throw that away just because you're having a bad day or the chemicals in your brain aren't firing right, it's just seems to me like that's criminal, So I don't like the suicide pod, Ben. I don't like the way they've put it in the forest to try and sell it.
Gareth, I didn't really want it to become a conversation about suicide.
Well, thanks for bringing us down.
It's more about the fact that this doctor...
We were having fun until this.
This doctor reckons out of all of my
Put up the picture of Matthew Perry. Because
wasn't in the suicide pod.
No, but we're celebrating a year of him being sober. So...
shit. Has already been a year. I heard that they were investigating the people that potentially drowned him.
All right, take that away before we get
okay,
canceled.
let's actually move on because now we're talking way too much about death.
All right, here's some interesting thoughts from Ben Karpinski over here. Why you wake up in the early hours of the morning? Is this why you naturally wake up early? Because this has happened to me. I didn't have to be up at 4:30, which is the time I get up for this show. I know we started a little late this morning. That wasn't me. I was here early. I was here before James and Flex, to be fair. Right? That's true.
Yeah, I got here at 10:02 and everybody was here.
So I normally wake up at 4:30. But on Tuesday, I got to sleep in a little bit. Like I would have been able to stay in bed until 7, which is a real luxury for me. But guess what? 5:30, I'm up.
Your blood sugar crashed, Gareth.
Is that what it is?
Well, I'm guessing, of course. Yeah, like one of the most common things about people, I know that like this year I've been like quite unhealthy relative to where I was. My sleep's been
which makes you still 10 times more healthy than the rest of us.
Yeah, but I've kind of let myself go a bit. But my sleep has been one of the things that I haven't had control of for a variety of reasons, which I'm trying to get back now.
All right.
But one of the biggest reasons that we wake up suddenly at 3 a.m, whatever, is our blood sugar's kind of crashed. Again, I'm not saying this is every reason. This isn't a blanket explanation, but it's kind of plausible because when your blood sugar crashes, your body goes into a bit of a stress state, right? Releases a bit of cortisol,
right?
And it's hard to sleep, hard to be in a state of relaxation when that happens. So, how do you maintain your blood sugar levels through the night is a really important thing. And again, I don't have the definitive answer for that. But if you find out why your body's doing something wrong, at least you can work back to a position where you can remedy that.
So what is it? Down to what you eat?
Yeah, so that's the whole thing. So like people say you must never eat before you sleep because it's really bad for you. You're going to get fat or you're not going to sleep properly. But like I always have I have this like protein pudding that I have towards the latter stages, or yogurt with sort of like casein powder. And then with that, have like a touch of honey. And the honey's actually meant to be
That's like
really
that
good.
slop that you made when we were in Bulgaria for breakfast every morning.
Similar.
But you should have seen this shit that Ben was eating. It was fucking hemp seeds.
It was amazing.
And sunflower seeds.
It wasn't so heavy on the seeds.
And,
It was
and yogurt. What else did you throw in there? Honey,
protein powder. But honey's really great.
Looked revolting.
Honey's amazing. If we can add more honey. And for guys, honey's been seen to like up your testosterone as well. It's the most magical thing, honey. So drop a bit of that into like some chamomile tea or something.
Okay.
And that might actually help you maintain your blood sugar levels.
Careful now. This is pod bro specific.
I'm going to pod bro this to death because nobody wants to wake up at 3 a.m. and they go, oh, fuck. Now I can't get back to sleep. When you leave a guy alone with his thoughts too much in life, no good thing happens.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Sleep is such a complicated thing, right? And I haven't entirely figured out what's going on there. And I listened and I commented on the fact that there was this Andrew Huberman thing that I listened to a while ago. I don't normally listen to his stuff, but I thought this was an interesting subject because we talk about it so much on this show, and I needed to be more well informed.
Yeah.
And you're right; it has to do with cortisol, and it has to do with actually when you go outside looking at the sky, not at the sun, but you have to see the bright morning light in order to start your body up and to get your circadian rhythms in flow, right?
So important.
So this is good stuff. And I don't think that any of us are necessarily masters of sleep. I know people who they manage to get X number of hours a night, but then they also fall off the wagon.
Yeah, you got to be disciplined to have a structure like that. So, I mean, I know what works. I just need to get back to it right now.
What works for you?
Well,
this pudding.
I mean, like when
protein pudding.
When Meows's was alive, she had a very calming purr to her. Little things like this. So it's reading an hour before bed, so you go away from the screens. I had these glasses with the orange tint.
The blue blockers.
That's awesome. So I've been trying this again this week, and it's been a bit better. But I've just been working a bit more this week. Like it's a weird thing that a cat for me is the most calming thing on earth. So now Luna, who's I wouldn't say she's Meows's replacement, but Luna's the next cat in line who now has that sort of calming aspect. And it's great. And then in the morning, again, it's just like I get and look at the sun with Hopkins. So we do this whole thing. And my cats are very calming around me. It's not like I need therapy animals. But
sounds like it.
Between that on the night and then the next day in the morning, you get that sun first thing and you stretch it a little bit.
I have the opposite problem. I've got a dog
amazing.
that wakes up and starts barking at 3 a.m. outside. And then I have to scream at it and I wake up and then I can't get back to sleep. So I don't have the calming. Yeah, I don't have the calming influence of a pet that you have. I have a fucking mad lunatic dog, and she won't behave. So you know what? Horses for courses. I'm just gonna have to deal with it.
No, so
I'm not gonna have her put down, am I?
I mean, I'm not saying
get her a suicide pod.
I'm not saying go right now and get a cat, but it's these little things that fit into your life that you can get routine from. This is
Get
where I'm
a
going
cat.
with this.
No, you are saying get a cat.
Well,
and for some people, that wouldn't be a bad thing,
unless you're allergic. And also, the fun thing about cats is that they do their own shit.
Yeah,
And they're funny.
Yeah, they don't need constant. They're like a low maintenance friend. We've learned from Ben today: have pussy and pudding before bed. It's a very good idea.
Spot on, call. You live a simple life. It's a good one.
That's very good.
But obviously ahead of next week, I never ask anyone in my life who they're voting for because their vote is their choice. But Luna did put out a very definite vibe who she's backing for next week.
Oh, really? Your cat's vote?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose. Oh, look at that. Oh, you can see from the hairstyle, right?
I'm just picking up a few things that she's putting down here.
What an incredible hairstyle for a cat.
Yeah.
Tremendous. I like it. It's great. That's the greatest hairstyle. I am so impressed. Of all the hairstyles that any cat could ever have, that is the greatest of all the hairstyles. It really is. You can believe me. I'll tell you, it's unreal. That cat's hairstyle.
The best side profile I've seen of a cat.
Yeah, it's amazing. How long did it take you to do that?
It's 20 seconds. She's currently shedding from winter coat.
Okay. Ben wants to know, would you stay in this free hotel room? Here's a free hotel room that...
So this is Ibiza.
Okay.
Very expensive place. It's very difficult to get nice hotel rooms.
How's it
especially in
free?
the peak season. It's free because it's open. You're literally in a fishbowl in the reception of the hotel.
Oh, shit.
So everyone gets to see your daily comings and goings. There's no curtains. There's zero privacy.
But you got a bathroom at least.
Yeah, you probably can make a poo by yourself. There seems to be so you can have one night. They'll permit you one night, and you stay there for free, as like an art piece / exhibition.
Why don't they just? Because you're going to get very unattractive people doing.
I think there's a
this.
screening process.
Yeah, I think if they did that, they got models, for example. That would be a reason to go to that hotel. So you'd see, attractive people like in the cage doing their thing. No one wants to watch an ugly person.
That would be more of a show. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, then it may be worth it. But even so, how much do you need to see them lying in bed or watching TV? Or people are boring. I don't understand why reality TV is the thing that it is, because most people are exceedingly boring.
But that's why they watch it, because boring people want to see other boring people to see if they do the same stuff.
Say that again.
Well, to prove your point, people are boring, right?
Yeah.
So they want to see other boring people to see how boring they are in comparison to them.
I think this may be a breakthrough of some kind.
Yeah.
You're telling me,
as someone who pushes back all the time on the show, I think I should bring this up.
You're telling me that boring people like to see other boring people just because it reminds them of them?
Yeah. If you are so boring, Gareth, you're easily influenced and sort of seduced into watching stuff. because you're bored and you're boring. So to see someone, that's why Big Brother was such a big thing.
Yeah.
For fucking 24 hours a day, people were in a house. But if you're also in your house and you're also fucking bored, it's company almost. It's therapeutic.
Wow. What a dreary way to live.
I'm not saying it's how you did, but
you've taught
I
me
think that's
so.
the truth.
I've never thought of this before. We had a genuine breakthrough moment on the show this morning.
You're not boring there. Well done.
Wow. Okay, let's go to the comments here quickly because there's a lot of people with things to say, places to go, people to talk about. Traveling Ninja Turtle says, reality TV is now produced reality. So it's half scripted garbage because people are so boring, actually.
Well, yeah. The thing about that is Traveling Ninja Turtle is that there has to be a structure and a flow. It can't just be a camera live on something. So reality TV, unfortunately, has always been like that. I don't want to burst your bubble, but everything has an element of structure to it.
I run podcasts at low volume the whole night to create white noise, says Dirk. I think I wake up more informed. Lex Friedman has a voice cadence which can put anything to sleep.
I tell you what, Ben Shapiro is not in that mix of yours.
No, you can't listen to him and relax. In fact, sometimes I've listened to Lex Friedman once or twice before, and I completely agree with Dirk on that one. But there's some people's podcasts that you can't relax. They actually get you like annoyed. You get frustrated. You're uptight. I can't listen to, if I'm sleepy, I can't listen to a podcast. I go listen to music or nothing.
Well, I mean, as obviously a pod bro, I feel I subscribe to Dirk's theory that if you got stuff playing in the back, it like absorb into your brain. I'm not sure if it happens though. But the thing about a podcast is the rhythm that you get with it. I think Lex Friedman wanted to sound super smart. That's why he started talking like that, and it's now just stuck. And it's like that's
awful.
Diary of a CEO is a similar kind of thing. There's a rhythm to it that is very sort of manufactured.
So speaking of reality TV, I suggested, because James was worried our guest canceled on us this morning, and I suggested, well, that's okay. We can have James and Flex fight to the death on the show. Remember, you were in the office. Yeah. And they didn't like the idea. I thought opportunity to show off their martial skills. I could have brought in some edged weapons. I have a whole lot of swords at home.
Let's just cut to the chase.
Could have been fun, guys. I don't know why you immediately went no.
Who wins that for you?
I reckon Flex. You see, Flex.
Sorry, guys. Can both of you come out here just so you can stand? Well,
just both come here and just be a part of this conversation.
You can have a little soft face off here.
See, I think because James said to me once that he'd overslept and that Flex walked in. Sit here alongside Ben, both of you. And that he'd overslept, and that Flex came in, and he was hovering over his bed. Yeah. No, come and sit, Flex. This is good. So, my money's on him because he's got stealth, but he's also got he seems more awake most of the time than James does.
I think James doesn't have the killer instinct, as in he might not want to murder someone. I'm not saying you do, but any fight's a game of margins, right? So who's closer to creating the win?
I think this would be a photo finish. And by the way, the other reason we've brought you on is so that everyone who's on the podcast and wonders why we weren't live at 6:00 can see who's responsible. That's the other reason that we brought you here.
I blame technology.
No, all right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks,
you don't have to fight to the death this morning, and we won't make you do any other embarrassing things. But really, should I bring some weapons?
Well, I'm down.
Okay.
I just think that now everyone's seen the two of them together in the comments. If we get enough interest, Gareth, like let's just say we get a deluge of comments, like 400 that say James and or Flex, then I think it's on. You got to give the people what they want.
But to the death, are we allowed to even do that?
I don't think they'll take it to the death.
You think one of them will start crying and then?
I think one of them will be surprised by how strong they are, and then on the basis of that, they'll probably stop.
Yeah. It's not going to go the way I'd hoped. I'm just going to leave it. We'll park that idea for the day that we really are desperate for ratings.
Yeah, see, that they also kind of like each other. There's got to be some sort of undercurrent of hatred.
There has to be a bit of hatred, yeah. I don't think they could kill each other. I don't think either would be able to kill the other. Let's just leave that idea alone.
It would have to be motive.
Let's leave that alone for the moment. Producer Puss Club says, Congo Chris, make them do a slap fight. Listen, those slap fights are horrific.
Yeah.
I've seen just a little bit. I don't watch them all the time. They come up on the feed every now and then. And let me tell you, some of these guys, I don't know how they get up. If James dies, the quality of the show will improve. Carl, by the way, James, I think Carl's just won himself a suicide pod. So send that to his house.
Yeah, we do.
That's
We do
great.
have 3 to give away.
Yeah.
And, we
actually, guys, yeah, we wove that into the conversation earlier.
Actually
so we can surprise you next week with a giveaway of 3 suicide pods.
Yeah, they're actually a new sponsor. We're starting an entire series with them called the Death Pod, where we give you reasons to die.
Yeah, great.
And James actually narrates it too, so it's going to be quite something.
That's lovely. Very, very nice. Okay, I do want to talk about this. There are some stories in the news this morning. Russia.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Russia hoax was obviously a thing that Trump always talks about. But here's something from Russia that's quite interesting. Google has been fined. I love this. This is the biggest number I've ever seen. Over 2 undecillion rubles, which is a figure far exceeding the world's total GDP, removing state-run and pro-government accounts from YouTube. According to Russian law, if you do that, you can be sued. The fine continues to grow due to non-payment and will double daily if not settled within 9 months. The situation escalated after YouTube blocked accounts of several Russian media outlets in response to the US sanctions, particularly over the onset of the Ukraine war. Currently, Google, with a stock market value of 2.16 trillion, is unlikely to pay this exorbitant fine. So 2 undecillion rubles is trillion. That's more zeros than my mind can handle. Let me just ask ChatGPT. This is the way to do these things.
Well, yeah, I mean, the trillion being 1,000 billion to start with, right?
Yeah. There we go. Hang on. What is 1 undecillion? Let's just see. Go on. It says 1 undecillion is a numerical value represented by 10 to the power 36. So that's 1 with 36 zeros, as I understand it.
So I would
It's
like
a
to know,
hell of a long number.
why did they need that? What exists in an undecillion amount?
Well, I think they're really just trolling
Just dialing up.
YouTube here.
No, but I mean, like, how did they even come to be? I know why we have a billion and a trillion.
I don't know, but I mean, it's 1 3 zeros 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 3 zeros. No, you are not buffering. That's actually a number. In the long scale system used in some countries, undecillion represents a slightly different value, 10 to the power 66. So we've got to find out from these Ruskies whether they mean 10 to the power 36. There we go. That's how much it is. Sweet Lord. It's a lot of money, hey? You think they'll get it, Ben?
I still don't know how. Does Russian law apply to a private company based in America? That was my first question there before I got crazy.
There's jurisdiction that comes into play here, international law. Don't worry, there'll be some lawyer who'll think they can claim a piece of that.
I mean, has Google had to sign something before they operated in Russia? Like, these are all just
Russia. You know, who knows? That place is very weird. So a fake Home Affairs office allegedly used to marry off South Africans to undocumented foreign nationals has been discovered in Durban. They found the place where they keep marrying nice Zulu girls to oaks from Pakistan. And these Zulu girls don't know what the fuck's going on because they go to some other government department and they apply for some paper and then they say, oh, you're already married. And she goes, how? Who are you married to? She goes, Angaz. And then they say, no, you are. You're married to this oak, Faisal. And she's like, what? Come again? So it's in Durban, apparently. Police raided a block of flats in Graaff and arrested 3 suspects. They say the suspects would get hold of identity documents of South African women and marry them off to strangers. They would then help the fake husbands to attain South African citizenship. Home Affairs officials accused of working in cahoots with the suspects. Police seized application forms, copies of IDs, and electronic devices. They face charges of fraud and defeating the ends of justice.
Wow. That was the thing, because KZN's also a reality show, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's a disaster. That wasn't the
Absolutely.
next thing on my bingo board for them.
Fake marriage licenses.
I thought the next plague of locusts would come in before that.
Well, if you are looking to make a quick buck, there's a gap now in the market that this place has been shut down by the new Home Affairs Minister, Leon Schreiber from
Were
the
they
DA.
trying to kick him out? There's no one of those stupid smear
Are they?
campaigns.
Are they trying to kick him out? What's he done?
He was efficient.
Oh, and they're trying to get rid of him
No, it
because
was
of
like,
that.
I saw a big story about it recently.
But he's managed to remove the backlog. They're arresting these bad oaks. I mean, these are bad oaks, Ben.
No, of course they're great, but it was
Right?
it was a similar time when they were kicking that mayor out of Schwani.
Oh, yes, good point. Okay, maybe it's one of those. Gareth, Herman Mashaba is now fighting with Pumlani Majozi. You should invite Pumlani to the burning platform, says Snaye. Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
What happened to Herman? I mean, the hopes weren't high, but who's he fighting? Why is he fighting?
I think he's round the twist. You know, the more I see people behaving badly in public, and on Twitter especially, because, you know, people, they forget that everyone can see when you have a tantrum or a tirade or whatever. I mean, I'm guilty of it sometimes too, not so much in the last 8 years, but before that, I used to go on a little tirade every now and then. Herman is just, they should really take his phone away. I mean, he's never been deranged like this before. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe he's deeply upset that he's sunk so much of his money into a political campaign which is bearing no fruit.
Yeah.
People just don't want you, dude. And I don't know. I mean, now he's going after Pumlani Majozi. I mean, Pumlani is one of the nicest people in the world. He's not a horrible person. I don't think Pumlani has harmed anyone in his life. He just has ideas that Herman clearly is no longer a fan of. And by the way, like Pumlani and Herman probably would have agreed on everything prior to this last election. So Pumlani hasn't changed. Herman has. Someone needs to go and sit down with him and have a chat.
Yeah.
Check that he's okay. It's not good.
Check in with him.
Just check. There we go, Ben.
Hashtag check in with
You know,
him.
sometimes you got to have someone to check in with you. Just make sure you're okay. Just check that you got your protein pudding, you got your cats purring around you, that you're not thinking of buying a suicide pod. These are the things people who care about you need to do.
The stuff you can get out of this Friday show could only put you in better state
Amazing.
here.
Amazing. Gareth, your history series puts me to sleep. Thanks, Bitcoin Butt. That's very nice of you. Let's have 20 minutes of James cleaning his car, says Congo Chris.
Oh, I noticed it's actually quite clean. Or was that just because it rained in the last 3 weeks?
No, James has pride.
I noticed as well, James got a haircut this week.
He got a haircut?
He's turning the corner.
No, James, I'm very proud of you. You've done well this week, with the
Very
exception
well
of this morning's technical fuck up. But you and Flex can share that blame equally. Judas says, if you listen to a podcast when you're going to sleep, if you watch it during the day, will your brain not think it's bedtime? You could condition yourself.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
like Pavlov's dog, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, podcasts put you to sleep. Carl says the burning platform yesterday was unwatchable because of Beaumont just slating the GNU the whole time. Herman has lost all of my respect. Michael Beaumont's a big man, hey?
I have no idea who this man is, so everything you say to me after this is...
Don't worry
new.
then. They want Leon out because he's giving visas to Ukrainians. Is he?
Oh,
okay.
Strippers or just...
I don't know. I'm in favor. You've just reminded me why I should be in favor.
Well, that's normally why Ukrainians come to this country.
Yes, of course.
The females, of course. Settle down, guys.
By the way, Matthew Dixon points out if it was Zim dollars that were owed by Google to that Russian, for the Russian court case they won, Google would only have to pay 1,000 rand.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Do you use cash? I mean, this is a thing I thought about yesterday. I had to go and draw some cash to pay somebody. And ATMs aren't busy. I mean, it was the end of the month, the last day of the month yesterday. You would think that there would be. I was really worried. I was like, where am I going to find?
You've not seen a Capitec ATM at the end of the
Well,
month.
we were talking about this with a guy who's written a book about Capitec on Monday or on Wednesday. I can't remember when it was. I thought, I'm going to try and find an ATM on the last day of the month. all are either going to have no cash in them, because that happens, or there'll be queues. There wasn't. It was easy. It was piece of cake. And I'm wondering if a lot of people are moving away from cash, or maybe it's just in the neighborhood I was
I think
in.
there's so many incentives to move away from cash. I would like to use cash because it's tactile and fun. Like when you travel, like when we were in Bulgaria, you only use cash. It was fun. It was almost novel.
Yeah.
But I think people have gamified the system where using a credit card, they crap on about the fact you earn points and all this kind of shit that doesn't really add up.
Right.
And there's something fun about tapping your card on something rather than counting money and giving to someone who then coughs and then gives you other money back. It's that.
You're right, though, that money is actually quite nice to feel in your hand, and you can kind of give people money, and it's almost like when you pay with a credit card, it feels like you're at a distance.
Emotionless, yeah.
Yeah. When you actually give someone money and they have to take the money.
Yeah, but if it's a
you know what I mean? It's there's something like paying you for this. Okay, I'll take your money. There's a thing going on there that everyone can see, right? It's very honest. It's very out there. It's very personal.
It is nice, but when you get like a sweaty 20 that's lived most of its life in a bra, it's a bit clammy on a summer's day. Look, I think when I'm out of a city, I like to use money. But for city, it's just you go into a place, you need convenience, time.
Well, okay, so I went to the ATM, drew the money. There was no one around. I suddenly thought, this is a ball ache. Like, it's much easier to just use the credit card. And I don't like my credit card to go into the red, so I always make sure it's paid up so that I don't incur those terrible interest rates that credit cards have. But there's still a place for cash. I don't think they'll ever be able to totally eliminate
cash is almost honest.
Yeah, that's it.
There's something about it, yeah.
Those machoshas, they're not going to take a credit card.
Well, they've got the Hoko.
Yoko.
It's a Yoko, but it's red.
Is it called a Hoko? You're making it up.
But it'd be a pretty cool... Now, from Yoko
Congo
is
Chris
the
says,
Hoko.
if I ever win the lottery, I want it paid out in 10 Rand notes so that I can fill a room with it like Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
You'd always carry a briefcase because you'd need a briefcase of tens. You go for dinner or you stay at a hotel, whatever.
You take a briefcase.
You'd need a briefcase the whole time. And then be smug about it, like handcuff it to yourself. That would be cool.
You're asking to be attacked.
Yeah, but it's just tens. Make it small enough so you can hit them with it.
Maybe touching cash, bit sticky since COVID, says Warwick. I don't think about like disease as much. That's not what worries me. It's just like other people's sweat and it's just filth. It's not so much disease. It's filth that bothers me. When you swipe your card, the money is going to the bank. When you hand someone cash, it goes into their pocket. And the sheriff of Nottingham is none the wiser, says Wayne. Spot on.
Well, yeah, Wayne, that's the thing. There is,
cash. The sheriff of Nottingham is your enemy.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. He doesn't have to be involved in every fucking transaction, right? If you pay a machosha like we were talking about and you give her cash, SARS is not involved.
It didn't happen. It's actually really preferable for
Whereas
many
on
people.
the Hoko now, there's a record. A few years ago, the Indian government discontinued a 100 rupee note. The citizens only had a day or two to exchange the notes. It created chaos. Can you imagine? Do we still have 1 Rand and 2 Rand coins? I don't think so. There's still a 5 Rand coin.
I think there's still, I don't know.
Because they just quietly, they discontinued the 5 cents and 1 cent and 2 cents. That I was aware of.
Sure.
Then they got rid of the 50 cent.
Well, the 20 and 10 would have had to gone as well.
I think that, there was a process. I think they
like
started.
The 10 cent was the smallest cent and it was the smallest one.
It was tiny. And it was really a waste of metal. And nobody's asking for 10 cents change. Ever. You can't buy anything with it. No value. But I think they might have just secretly, without telling us, they might have got rid of the 1 Rand and 2 Rand.
No, I don't think that could ever be around because it's the base standard of our currency as a 1 Rand unit.
You think?
The cents could go. It doesn't make any sense. But I think literally from until our currency becomes Zimbabwean, I think 1 Rand.
You've got to have it.
I think it is.
Okay, well, it's definitely much smaller than it used to be.
I would like them to, for nostalgia, bring back the 5 Rand note The purple one, I like that one. Because £5 still a thing, right? You can if you tip a cargo on a £5 coin or a £5 note.
She's lit says apparently we're broke. Depending on overdrafts and other credit to survive, it just doesn't feel like it when I'm driving in my little Ford Figo on the road. And all around me, it's just fancy cars. Yeah, those people are living on credit too. They just have a bigger appetite for risk.
Yeah, they're living on credits, human trafficking, and prostitution. Mostly in those factors.
Mig says, I love the shows with no guests. It's way more fun.
Oh.
Yeah. No, we have had fun this morning. Okay, the problem with circumnavigating the tax system with cash is that tax rates just go up. You're fucked either way. Yeah, but if you're working with cash, there's no record, Yeah,
but what I think what he's getting at is that then the revenue is down and then they find ways to just steal more.
Eventually, so that people are cleverer than the tax man, they find ways of avoiding it. Gareth, how rich are you that you think the R1 and R2 coins are gone? Also, the 50 cent is from mid-rand. Okay.
Thanks, Carl.
I think it's too clever by half. I'm not entirely. Maybe I'm having a slow start to my day this Friday, but I don't get that one, Carl.
Well, 50 cent is mid-rand, half a rand. It's all right. I'm here.
That's why we keep you around, Ben.
I get Carl.
Yes, sis.
I understand short, hairy men for some reason.
Wow.
I know their frequency.
Next time you're holding 100 ronts, says Congo Chris, just remember it was probably in a stripper's G-string at some point.
That's nice.
If you're lucky, could have been in a lot worse places than that.
Look at my wallet cash on you? Currently, what do I have?
Ben has cash. Look.
I have a 20 and a 50. The 50's become like the old 5 in color.
It has. They've changed that.
Now it's got more like a evening hue to it on Nelson.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah, the 20 is a 20.
Still got the elephant.
Okay, so now what do I do? If I in this world right now, what does $70 get me?
James Flex, what can you buy for $70?
What do I throw this down on the table with and go, bring it?
Bread, milk, and maybe some butter.
Like if I couldn't buy breakfast with this right now if I go to a place on the way home. I mean,
are those notes rolled up, Ben, says someone. I don't know what they're insinuating there, that you're a cokehead.
No, I mean, it's in a wallet, so it has a natural roll to it.
Okay, well, someone thought they'd caught you out there.
No, way too old to do drugs now. You don't bounce back from that shit.
All right, listen.
Yeah, £2.
Oh, you got a £2. There we go. So
yeah,
they do
but
still
it was
exist.
Made in 2021.
Okay, that's not so long ago.
They still do it.
Oh, it's post-COVID. All right. We have done our best. I hope that you found some of this useful. And I hope that you'll have an awesome weekend and that you will behave yourself, that you will not add to the entropy around you like Rosie O'Donnell does.
So you would then be entropic?
No, you'd be a low entropy person.
Okay.
Just be a low entropy person. Let's all try that. I don't want you to focus on too much this weekend. I don't want you to have a list of things to do. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to micromanage your life. But try to be a low entropy person.
And also watch the On the Bounce show. I will tell you what to do. Watch the episode of American Sports. There, I'm using this. It's my time. See, James,
right,
I fight for it.
Yeah, there we go. All right, very good. We will return on Monday at 6 a.m. Have an awesome weekend, everybody. Ciao. Oh, no.
Ik wil naar een warm land, even op vakantie. Lekker bakken in de zon, daarop wil ik garantie. Ik hou van lekker